Hi, I'm Marina Hall, and I've been in medical billing since 1992. But before I tell you anything else, I want to tell you what I didn't have when I started. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have a partner. I had no family in the industry, no savings to fall back on. I was a single mom, and medical billing was the thing standing between me and figuring out how to take care of my two sons on my own. So if you're wondering whether this field is actually a real path or just something people say to sell you a course, I want to give you the actual roadmap, the one nobody handed me. By the end of this, you'll know exactly what steps come first and what it really takes to go from knowing something to actually running something real. I didn't come from healthcare. I didn't come from a business. What I had was a decision that I was not going to depend on someone else's paycheck to care for my two boys. Medical billing found me because it was practical. Clinics needed to get paid, and doctors were good at medicine, but not at chasing down the insurance companies for the money that they were owed. I saw that gap and I stepped into it, one claim at a time. There was no fast track. I submitted claims that got denied because I didn't understand what payers wanted. I sat on hold with insurance companies for what felt like many days, just on the phone all the time. Nobody was coaching me through it. I was building this while it was the only income my sons had. I tell you this because if I could build a business from that starting point, the roadmap I'm about to give you is not theoretical, it is lived. Most advice about this field goes one of two ways. Either it sounds like a 10-minute side hustle you could pick up this weekend, or it bears you in so much technical detail you give up before it starts. Both are wrong. The truth sits in the middle. Medical billing is learnable. It is not instant. It rewards people who follow a real sequence, not people who chase clients before they understand what they're offering. But first things first, before you touch a single client, understand what medical billing actually is. It is translating what happened what happened to the patient in the clinic, and then how that is turned into an insurance claim that will pay, and then making sure it actually gets paid correctly and on time. You need to understand why claims get denied, because denial management is where most of the real value lies. Anyone can submit a claim. Getting a denied claim paid is where you earn trust. You don't need to master every specialty overnight. You need a solid foundation first. Then depth comes with time. The way it did for me across the different type of doctors I have: family practice, physical therapy, and urgent care. Now, step two, get trained the right way and then land your first client. This is the step people try to skip. You need real training, structured learning in claim mechanics, coding, basics, payer rules, and credentialing, not just guessing. I hold the CMRS credential, and that grounding is what let me walk into rooms with physicians and to be trusted quickly. Guessing work with clinics costs them money when you're just guessing how to do it, and it costs you their trust. Once you're trained, nobody will be able to take that from you. Remember, it's not about proving you're the most advanced biller alive. It's about proving that you're reliable and honest when something goes wrong. Physicians don't expect perfection. What they can't tolerate is silence. If a claim is stuck, say so. The biller who loses clients aren't usually the ones who make mistakes. They're the ones who go quiet. Now, next is step three, build the system before you need them. This is what separates a job you do from home from an actual business. Systems mean a repeatable way to onboard the client, track the claims, and follow up on denials, and make sure that you price your services correctly. I built mine slowly out of necessity because nobody handed me an operational manual. Every clinic taught me something that made the next one easier. You don't need an elaborate system on day one, but you need enough consistency that the second and third client aren't starting from zero, if you get what I mean. That's what lets you eventually stop trading hours for dollars. Your mindset will be important because there are going to be moments that feel hard, denied claims that don't make sense, and anxious doctors. Days where you wonder if you're cut out for it. I built this business as a single mother with nothing to fall back on. And what got me through was not having all the answers on day one. It was the decision to keep learning and keep showing up. If you're building this because you need it to work, well, then you already have the most important ingredient. Now, let's do a quick recap. The first thing you're going to have to do is understand what medical billing actually is before you try to sell it to someone. You need to get real training so you're not guessing with someone else's money. Treat your first client relationship as trust building, not performance, and build simple systems early. And hold on to the mindset that got you there. Remember, I built this from nothing as a single mom with no safety net, starting in 1992. If I could build a business that lasted this long, you can take the first step today. Now, I want to be specific with you because I know that vague encouragement doesn't build a business. If you want the exact roadmap laid out in a practical format, I put together a checklist and templates that I wish someone had given me when I started. Inside it, you're going to find a straightforward breakdown of the foundational pieces I just walked you through. But I have it broken into the order you actually need them in, not the order that sounds impressive. The checklist that tells you what to have in place before you walk to your first client or your first potential client, I should say. So you're not walking in unsure of yourself. And 2 client-facing letters, the kind of communication that builds trust with the physician or quietly loses it. And I have written them so that you don't have to guess and try to figure out what kind of tone you should have or what kind of wording you should use. I built these from the mistakes I made, not from a textbook. Every piece in it there exists because at some point I didn't have it, and I felt the cost of not having it. That's the difference between a resource built by someone teaching from theory and one built by someone who's been on the phone with an insurance company and who has done this job. Okay, it's not someone who is learning from a textbook. This is someone who has actually done it. I want to address what's probably in your head right now. I know some of you are sitting there thinking, this sounds good, but I'm not sure I have what it takes. And I want to address that directly because I thought the exact same thing more than 3 decades ago. I did not feel ready. I did not have a background that made anyone look at me and say, of course she'll figure that out. What I had was necessity and a willingness to learn one piece at a time instead of trying to know everything before I got started. You don't need to feel ready. You need to take the next honest step in front of you. And that's what the checklist is built for, not to make you feel inspired for 5 minutes, but to give you an actual next action so that momentum doesn't die the moment this video ends. I want you to get started. And if you're someone who's already looked into medical billing before and you felt overwhelmed by the coding side or the compliance side, or you just didn't know where to start, that confusion is very normal. It's not a sign you're not capable, it's a sign you were handed information without a second sequence. That's exactly the gap that this fills. Here's what I ask you to do. Don't let this become another video you watched, agreed with, and then close the tab on. That's the quiet way most people stay exactly where they are for another year. Not because they didn't care, but because caring without a next step, well, it just fades away. Take the first real step today while this is still fresh, instead of waiting for the moment that feels more convenient. I want to be honest with you about something. That convenient moment doesn't usually show up on its own. You have to create it, or it doesn't come at all. I think about where I was more than 3 decades ago, a single mom with 2 sons to raise and no industry connection, no savings account, and no one telling me I was on the right track. I didn't have the luxury of waiting for the perfect moment either. I had a claim to figure out, a phone call to make, a next step in front of me, and I took it. I took it because the alternative was staying stuck. That's really the whole secret, if there is one. Not talent, not connections, just the next honest step, even when you don't really feel ready for it. I'm going to say that again. Even when you don't feel ready for it. I want to say something to the people watching this who have started and before they stopped. Maybe you looked into medical billing a year ago or 5 years ago, bought a course, got overwhelmed, and you let it sit. I'm not going to tell you that you wasted time, because it wasn't. It told you something. It told you that information without a sequence doesn't work. That being handed a wall of codes and compliance rules with no order to them isn't the same as being handed a clear path. That's exactly what I built the checklist and the templates on. Not more information, but I built it on a sequence.